Saturday morning, got an empty theater. Let's go.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jake, the Scary Story Guy, taking a rare break from hibernation to bring you a new video. Today's humble offering is a review of a movie that just hit theaters called Bodies, wait for it, Bodies. Which I like that title, because now you know, right? There's at least 3 bodies in this movie. Bodies started to... I can't. Okay, I gotta not say that every time. The movie, Bodies Cubed. So Bodies Cubed has started to pick up some steam in recent weeks. A lot of people have been talking about it. But one thing I've noticed is that nobody seems quite sure how to talk about it. Like, is this a horror movie? And it's a good question. Like, you know, it's not a horror movie. Is it a black comedy? Well, there's certainly, you know, some dark humor, kind of a general lightheartedness about the movie, but I wouldn't exactly call it a barrel of laughs. Honestly, the best way I could describe this movie is that it's Agatha Christie meets, like, Ready or Not. This is fundamentally a murder mystery, but it's executed in this very flashy, stylized way. But the thing that really sets this film apart from other similar offerings is that there's this really frantic, youthful energy here. And you're probably thinking, yeah, dumbass, of course. There's, you know, this movie's been made 1,000 times, a bunch of young people, they all start dying. Of course there's going to be youthful energy here. But this is different. I promise I have an actual point here, I think. Because I've always viewed those types of movies as depicting my peers. Or generations older than me. Like Scream, you know, really captured the unique voice of a generation, but it was made in the 90s, so it's a generation that's really familiar to me. Bodies Cubed is the most Gen Z movie that I think I've ever seen. Maybe the most Gen Z movie that's ever been made, honestly. And I don't just mean that it portrays Gen Z characters. I'm talking like the whole vibe, flavor of this movie is just totally immersed in the new generation. I mean, we're talking everything from the characters' like personalities and motivations, all the way down to the lingo and the social cues. Everything here would just be totally inscrutable to anyone over 40. It captures a lot of what's unique about Gen Z, but it feels like it's coming from the perspective of Gen Z. Like, there's no boomer behind the camera with a get off my lawn energy, you know, who just clearly hates all his characters. It feels more like there's a peer to these characters behind the camera, who also might hate the characters. I'm getting off track here. Jeez. Okay. Let me tell you what this fucking movie's about. So we start off with this couple played by Amandla Stenberg and Maria Bakalova, which, if you don't recognize those names, that's the girl who played Rue in The Hunger Games. She's all grown up now. And the Oscar-nominated actress from the second Borat movie, which is just an incredible sentence to say. It's very nice. And one of them is introducing the other to all of her friends at, if you can believe this, a hurricane party. That's right, a hurricane is coming in, and all these friends are gonna wait out the storm together in this mansion. Very normal stuff. I'm sure nothing will go terribly wrong. So who's our supporting cast? Well, we've got Pete Davidson, who I'm not sure which A-list woman in her mid-40s he's dating this month. His romantic life will never quite make sense to me. We've got Rachel Sennett, which, let me just make a quick aside here. If you haven't seen last year's movie called Shiva Baby, which Rachel is the star of, you should see it immediately. It's really good. One of the most anxiety-riddled movies I've ever seen. Just the classic horror trope of a young girl running into her sugar daddy at a traditional Jewish family function. We've also got Lee Pace, who's the much older boyfriend of Rachel Sennett's character, and he's just such a big person. Like, he just looks so comically large compared to everyone else in this movie. And there's some other people too who we're not going to talk about because this is taking me way too long. I'm off my game today. So, all these friends. Hurricane. Mansion. Drugs. Yes, there's drugs. Tension. High drama. And one of them turns up dead. Oh shit. Who's the killer? It could have been any of them, and that's our movie. Is it a good movie? Yeah, it's quite fun. You know, 3.5, 4 out of 5, not 4, 3.5. But you know, it's exactly what you want out of this kind of thing. But I can't actually give it that rating because all of the characters are just horrible, horrible people, to the point where it's just not fun to watch. It's like if you took It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and just made all the characters not funny. That's what we have here. They're all so selfish and self-destructive and childishly impulsive in the worst ways. It's like if you plugged an algorithm into an AI and then it just started spitting out example after example of the most toxic human beings it could fathom. That's this character list. It's ironic to say about characters in the movie, but everyone here has way too much like main character energy. Like they approach their lives as if they are the main character in a movie, and everyone else around them is merely a prop. And this is where I'm going to sound like, you know, but this movie actually felt a lot like Gen Z self-critiquing. Like, what are our unique neuroses? And this movie, there's a lot of them, and this movie hits them all quite well. There's no question that neuroses have spiked with Gen Z. I think it's becoming increasingly apparent why. And this movie does a good job at taking these neuroses and injecting them into a situation that's actually traumatic. Like, how do people like this respond to a situation like that? And it's effective. It's not always fun to watch, but I get what they're going for. All this to say, I've never felt so old while watching a movie. Like, I felt like I was watching people who are just fundamentally different from myself, even though they're only a few years younger. I mean, characters are behaving in ways that I just don't really recognize. And so at the end of the day, I left this movie feeling kind of hollow about it. And I don't know if that's because the movie's actually a little emptier than it fancied itself, or if I was just too out of touch to appreciate its nuance. Either one could be true, honestly. But let's focus on the good stuff now, because there's a lot to enjoy here. First, the runtime. Sweet, blessed baby Jesus. This is only 90 minutes long. Why doesn't everyone do that? Like, it's such an easy layup. No one wants to see a 2+ hour long summer horror movie, you know? Unless it's midsummer. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm off my game today, I know. Yeah, perfect length. Some of the twists and turns in this movie were surprisingly original. Like, you kind of think you know where it's going, and then it just goes a completely different way. One of the twists in particular I thought was really effective for this movie specifically. Performances are good across the board. I was never like, oh man, that person could have brought it more. And every once in a while, some of the generational humor actually really landed for me. There's a moment in particular where, you know, it's starting to get intense, characters are arguing, bickering, and one character accuses another of hate listening to her podcast, which is just, oh, it's so good. Anyway, there's a lot to recommend here, and honestly, I think this movie's better than the rating I'm about to give it. It's just when you're watching a movie, you want to kind of like enjoy the people that you're watching, and they're all such a tough hang. Frankly, I think I'm probably just kind of freaked out too at how old this movie made me feel. I'm giving Bodies, 3 stars out of 5, but it's a strong 3 stars. Strong 3. That seems fair. Alright guys, thanks for watching another review. I know I'm intermittent, to put it mildly, with when I decide to drop them. I'll try and get more consistent. We'll see if that happens. But at any rate, you can check out my original horror stories whenever you like in the description below. I might have a new one coming soon if I can ever get off my ass and finish it. Finish it, Jake. Do it. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, and here's hoping you survive to see the next one.